To begin, we need to create a project. Next, we need to import our MetaHuman. I'm using Quixel Bridge to do this. I then drag my MetaHuman into the scene. Enable all the missing plugins and settings. Before restarting, I'm going to go to Edit, Plugins, and enable ZenBlink. I search for ZenBlink and enable the plugin. Now I restart. With the project restarted, I'm now going to set up my scene. How you do this is up to you. With the scene now set up, I need to add a CineCamera and 2 actors. I'm going to name these Focus and Follow. These 2 actors will be used for camera focus, and Follow will be used for the MetaHuman to track. Next, I need to add ZenBlink. In this version of ZenBlink, there are 2 ways of doing this. One is the original way, where we go to our content browser, ensure that under Settings, Engine Content and Plugin Content are enabled, and search ZenBlink, and then drag in BP ZenBlink, which is a world actor. Alternatively, we can use the new method, which is to select your MetaHuman, go to the Add button in the Details panel, search for ZenBlink, and add an actor component. Then, if you need to access ZenBlink settings, you would select the actor component in the Details panel, and they're all available here. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to use the world actor method. It is time now to set up ZenBlink. Go over to the Details panel, and with ZenBlink selected, we're presented with these options. Currently, that's under Animation Defaults and Animation Eye Adjustments. Let's start with Animation Defaults. Here, you would choose your MetaHuman, in this case, BP Gavin. In the actor component version of ZenBlink, you will notice that the MetaHuman parameter is missing. This is completely normal. As ZenBlink is already attached to a MetaHuman, there is no need to set the property. Camera Focus Target. Here, we select our actor we created, Focus, and Target to Follow would be our actor we named Follow. Next are options for enabling or disabling various functionality. One is autofocus, which is linked to this focus actor here. We'll get to that in a moment. The next is auto blink, which disables or enables blinking. The next is use head movement, which enables or disables head animation. Face animation, which enables or disables full face animations based upon the emotion. Before we continue, let's set up focus for our camera. Select your CineCamera and position it where you require. I'm going to quickly go into cinematic mode and select the camera. As you can see, currently the camera is not focused on our MetaHuman. Select your camera in the outliner, and in the Details panel, go down to Focus Settings. Here, choose Tracking, and then under Actor to Track, in the Tracking Focus Settings, choose our Focus Actor. Now, when we hit Simulate or Play, I'm going to choose Simulate. Our camera immediately focuses on our MetaHuman's eyes. Back to ZenBlink. Next in our list in the details panel, we have emotion. Here you can choose from 22 different emotions. These emotions affect blinking, eye movement, pupil constriction, and full facial animation. Let me show you an example of this now. If I set the emotion to something strong like childish and hit simulate, we get a full facial animation that is childlike in appearance. We can, of course, disable things such as head movement as described before, or we can disable the facial animation here. Please be aware that if you use the ZenBlink actor component instead of the world actor, during play in editor, you will not be able to alter these values in the details panel. This is just how the actor components work in Unreal Engine. You can, however, alter the values in sequencer or programmatically. The next property is movement type. Here we can choose none, random, which is based upon the emotion, or follow target. Let's select follow target. Here is our actor, and so if we place in front of our character, you may be able to see straight away that the MetaHuman is following the actor. We can improve this slightly by disabling snapping. And then if we go back to our camera and simply change the values, as you can see, our MetaHuman is following the target with its eyes and its head. The next option is Eye Aim Adjust. If for some reason you are following a target and you need to adjust the position of your character's eyes, this is where you would do it. For example, if I adjust the X-axis, it moves the character's eyes left and right, and if I do Z, up and down. The simple way to think about Eye Aim Adjust is that it creates a user-chosen offset. Next is Face Emotion Strength. Adjusting this, adjust the full face animation. As we can see, childish is a very strong emotion. So if we taper this off to something lower, we obtain different results. Next is Face Animation Blend. This blends between ZenBlink and an existing animation. Let me show you that now. Here I've set up a basic scene with a character. The animation comes from MetaHuman Animator Lip Sync. We can come down to our Face Animation Blend. First, let's set this to 0 and hit Simulate. I'm going to disable head movement for the purposes of this demonstration too. Let's hit play. As you can see, Animation Blend does not completely remove ZenBlink. If you set it to 1, however, full facial animation is at max. As we can see, this has influenced the lips slightly, so let's lower that animation blend to maybe halfway. 0.55. Be aware that this kind of animation blending is based upon the normalized by weight blending option inside the animation blueprint. All this means is the curves with the most weight will be a priority. Next, let's move on to head movement strength. If we hit simulate, ZenBlink produces head animation. As we can see, sometimes that head animation may be slightly too strong. If we adjust the head movement strength, we can adjust the amount of rotation our head animation creates. 1 is full animation, and 0 is no head rotation. Let's set this back to a reasonable default. Next is head movement blend. Let me show you this now. I created this animation with quite extreme head movement from neck 0-1 upwards. Let's apply this to our MetaHuman. I've added the animation to sequencer, and as we can see, the head animation is quite strong. Let's select ZenBlink and move the head movement blend to 0. Now if we hit simulate and play, the head movement animation is retained. But if we were to increase head movement blend, slowly ZenBlink overtakes the head movement. Again, at 0, the body animation is driving the head. At 1, ZenBlink is driving the head. And what this means is if we set to maybe random rather than follow target, ZenBlink will control the head movement. At this time, it's not possible to drive body animation via ZenBlink. This will be in a future update. The final parameter in this section is ZenBlink strength. If we hit simulate, we can set it to 0, which turns off ZenBlink, or 1 to enable ZenBlink. This can be useful if you would like to blend between animations. In this version of ZenBlink, I have provided additional emotion maps. Before, we only had a single emotion map which controls speed and timing of eye movements and blinks, but here there are 3. If you liked the original map, that is map number 3, 1 and 2 are brand new for this version. By selecting a different map, you will obtain different results. The next new property is eye movement interpolation speed. By default, this is set to 10. With this set to 50, as you can see, the eye movement is incredibly jerky. And to smooth out this, if we set to 10 again, eye movements are softer. You can go lower, and this again softens eye movements. Let's start at 1, and this should be incredibly slow and smooth. And again, 50, the maximum. Eye movements are very jerky. The default value is usually fine for most cases. Next, we have micro-saccadic controls. Let me show you what these are. I will set to follow target so our eyes face forward. And now if we adjust first the strength, let us adjust to something very high, 50. As you can see, the eyes are moving side to side. We can do the same for up and down. Let's set it to the maximum and just turn off left, right for a moment. And as you can see, the eyes go up and down. You can set the speed of this for more rapid movements, or slower for slower movements. Let's do the same for left and right. Let's set to maximum and then crank up the speed. Like so. So basically, your eyes are not static. Let's stay back to the defaults. And as you can see, it's very minor. But you can just turn this off by setting all of these values to 0. You can of course use ZenBlink in Sequencer. To do this, we will create a level sequence. I already have one here with my MetaHuman and my camera. If you are using the ZenBlink World Actor, you can simply drag that into Sequencer. If you are using the new Actor Component version of ZenBlink, you click this plus icon and choose ZenBlink from the list. From here, you can add any property that is available. Obviously, you can keyframe these values. Things such as microsaccadic speed, ZenBlink strength, use head movement, change your motion, eye aim adjust, etc. Or you can set a keyframe from over here in the details panel by clicking this icon here. Let's create a practical example for this. What I'm going to do is create 2 more basic actors. In fact, let's make them shapes. So a sphere and maybe a cube. Okay, I want to set the size of these quickly to scale them down, and I'm going to place them in various locations. One over here and one over here. And then what we can do is drag those into the sequencer, cube as well, and then we can go to ZenBlink and choose movement type and set a keyframe and set this to follow target. And then we can hit the plus icon again and choose target to follow. This one is where we choose which target we want to follow. So let's say we want to start with looking at the sphere. And then we hit simulate. And as we can see, our character is looking towards our sphere. Okay. And then if we went to cube, he would look at the cube. Another example of this is camera switching. So here I have a camera looking down on my character and one looking up. If I go to the first frame of my sequence and I set the target to follow to the first camera, then move along slightly and let's hit simulate so we can see the changes. So he's looking at the camera, look, and you can see if we switch to that camera, he's looking at it. And then if we move along slightly and then we set the target to camera 2, he then looks up at camera 2 and then back to 1 and back to 2. If we then do our camera cut to switch between the cameras as it's switching, so for there, let's do camera 2, and for there, back to camera 1, and then back to camera 2, like so. We can then hit play, and he will look at the camera. This is not perfect, I understand that. You can, if you need to, hit the plus icon on ZenBlink again, and you can add the eye aim adjustment. So what we can do with this is I put this in for just this situation. If we look, he's not looking directly at the camera. And this is due to the targeting system not understanding where the center of the camera lens is. So we can adjust the eyes like so, up and down, left and right, to look directly into the camera. And so he's currently looking at this camera. Maybe we can see it better with this camera look. We can adjust the eye aim adjust to look directly into the camera. Like so. And obviously we can keyframe these like so. There we go. For game devs, or if you're simply more adventurous, you can add the ZenBlink actor component inside your blueprint, and then you can alter its variables from there. Let's set up a custom event. And when this triggers, I want to change a ZenBlink, maybe emotion. I can set the emotion here. Maybe I want to be embarrassed when this custom event is triggered. And you get the general impression. If at this point you still understand what I'm talking about, then you know what you are doing with this. And if you do have any questions, drop them below. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and it will help you move forward and create amazing things with the ZenBlink plugin. Thank you for watching.